Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Loving Goliath, the show where we discuss how to love the monster within. I'm Willow Smith, and I'm here with my dad and co-host, trainer Ben Smith. Hello, Ben Smith. Mhm.
Hello, Willow Smith.
Happy New Year! Happy 2025. Are you excited?
I'm totally excited.
Me too.
And as we just discussed, I just got back from Mexico, so I got my Mexico tan and my Mexico smile.
They look exactly the same as your home tan and home smile, but I don't want to burst your bubble. So yeah, you look great. Looks bronzed.
The sunstreak version of myself.
Yeah, no, you seem not refreshed, but yeah, it's nice to come back and feel like feel the being in your own home again is a relief, and being in your own space. And
Yeah, well, I mean, as you know, we were in Mexico for quite some time, but
yes,
it was like really nice to come home from Mexico and then come into our home and go like, oh, it's so good to be home, like because again, Mexico is great, but I love where we live too, right?
yeah,
I love Gibson's, I love our home, I love the ocean, I love, so it was nice to be able to go there and come back and just be happy to be home.
yeah, yeah. Awesome. Well, welcome home. I'm happy to have you. Now I can put you back to work making our podcast and
I know. It's
crack
like
the whip. Let's get it going.
it's like a sweatshop here.
Kinda. Well, like kind of on not the topic of sweatshops, but on the topic of like being put to work and stuff like that. I think it does kind of tie into what we're going to talk about today, which is, and we'll be going over a few facets of this, but just discussing the different challenges that men do face in a landscape that's kind of constantly changing and expectations are changing. And, you know, like me and my boyfriend talk about this often. Like there is a lot of expectation on men, and there's not much of a conversation about it. um we have a lot of conversations about women in general, like as a society, and that's amazing. And now there are conversations that need to be had about the expectations that are on men.
Well, based on your conversations, what do you think is the thing that most kind of blocks men, young men, midlife men from being able to navigate those challenges, those changing circumstances of the day?
um in most of our conversations, I feel like it comes back to this idea of like male expendability, where um there is a historical trend of male lives being expendable. Any war movie that you watch will have just men mowed down by the hundreds, thousands, and we're so desensitized to the idea of like men getting hurt on the job site, men like undergoing, going to war and being in all these dangerous situations. And like there is a sense of male expendability out there that is like women are we produce life and men go and give their life. um like that's what he and I talk about a lot. I don't know if that's the main plight that men face, because I mean obviously I'm not a man. But that is something that often comes up with us, is just this idea that men are expendable, and what a mental toll that must take to feel that way about yourself, if you do feel that way.
Hmm. Well, what's so interesting about that is like you say, it's been passed down throughout pretty much all of human history that men have that role, and yet um now we're expected to be grounded and emotionally available, and which we should be, but
Mhm.
it's such a mixed message, and especially like for men, especially like kind of my age or a little bit younger. It's like who do you turn to, because all the guys before us were just like, man up.
Yeah,
So
true.
if you're a midlife man, say 50 or 45 or whatever, it's like you're still really entrenched in that paradigm of men man up, go out there, earn money, be emotionless because you got shit to get done, and just don't complain, do it. You know,
Hmm.
it's like so we're yeah, and then all the younger men coming up, it's like, well, where do they ask, where do they find answers? And and also it's like, how do you distract yourself, or how do you get away from the distraction of like so many mixed messages? It's quite a lot to handle, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you said something that kind of made me think of this. It's this idea that like so for women, the like um the not politically correct perspective is that like if you are attractive, you can find a mate, right? So what's looked for in women is looks, is beauty, and not any of these other things, right? That's kind of the like, you know, we call it misogynistic viewpoint, fine. Um, there is an idea in men that you can look and act and be however you want, and like in a subsect of men, but making money is the most important thing. So if you're not in a high paying job, the only thing that matters to women is that you make a lot of money. So then you have to go out there and do these jobs that you absolutely hate. You'll find yourself in a situation where you found a wife and you're doing the thing and whatever, but you're locked into this life that you absolutely hate because you come from this sect of men that thinks that the only thing of value to you is money, and that the only reason anybody would like you is because of money. And so you neglect the part of yourself that wants to feel good, that wants to be happy, that wants to have real love in order to do the thing that you feel that you're expected to do to attract this mate. So you need to make money, and that's all that matters about you. But there's this whole other part of you that wants to be loved, that wants to love, that wants to feel, have good experiences, and to whom money doesn't matter. But because you think that that's your only goal in life, you give yourself to it, and then there's nothing left of you. You know, you'll find yourself in your midlife going like, what happened? How did I get here? And it's because you think that your only value is money.
Yeah, I mean, I have a perspective on that, and I'm not sure 100% that is totally correct because I'm not a woman. I mean, or I'm or attracted to men. So I mean, I'm not really in the 100% the best perspective to talk about it. But I do believe this, you know, you got to kind of separate a little bit, a little bit. I think people should separate a little bit, like the feeling like they need to be have all this money versus what money represents, which is confidence, self assurance, a feeling of stability, being able to take care of somebody, being able to kind of like ease it and create a nice life. Like so if you kind of separate the if you kind of separate the two, like, okay, well, what are we asking? Like, why are we putting all this pressure to earn money? Like, for what purpose? And then you back it, and then you backtrack and you say, well, it's for these reasons. You can get those, you can fulfill those things that money provides without killing yourself to make money. You can,
Yeah.
and again, I mean, I hate to be a broken record, but I am. It's like, if you are so confident in yourself, and you have that self assurance and that ease and that faith, you're gonna be attractive. First of all, it's you're gonna emit a confidence that's just attractive. And then with that confidence, you're probably going to feel a lot more at ease with whatever work you feel inspired to do, right? So it all kind of fits together when you back away from the expectations. Well, they just want my money. It's like, I mean, speaking from a man's perspective, no, they don't want your money. They want what money represents. So if you build what money represents, the money you know will probably come together in a much more satisfying way, and you'll get all the other pieces as well. Because
Yeah.
again, it's like when I met Charlene, it's like, I didn't have a pot to piss in really. And I experienced that a lot, but I did have confidence. I did have a vision. I did have belief in myself. I did have all those things that money represents, right? So it's like I didn't really money wasn't that big a deal, right? Even though she came from the corporate background, even though she was around a lot of people with money, even though her boss was like dishing out the dollars and all that kind of stuff. I'm a broke boxer bouncer, but I had all the things that money represented, right? So
Mhm.
it evened it out. So I think that all these things we've been talking about in the podcast for like a few years now about self assurance, ease, and faith, and creating that feeling within yourself, it kind of mitigates a lot of the need to just be working so hard to make the money because you have what it represents, right? And again, I'm not saying don't work. The
Right.
reality is you're probably, if you're confident, you feel self-assured or whatever, you're going to work. You're going to want to work. You're going to be inspired to work, but it'll be much more enjoyable, and you'll have the confidence to go after the work that you really want to do, right?
Yeah, I think like if we could distill this down to a piece of advice for a young man who's like getting into relationships and wanting to find, the woman of his dreams or what have you, wanting to move into um finding somebody who's really right for him, but he's struggling with his relationship with women, he's struggling with his relationship with himself. And if he's in that mindset of I need to have money to make a woman like me, I would love to be able to distill this into a piece of advice. And what I think you're saying, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is what women want is not money. We want a sense of security and safety with the person we're with. And that's something that I'm learning is like what I love most about my partner is not that he has a job, is not that he has amenities. It's that I feel secure with him. I feel safe. I know that, we could figure anything out. If anything happened, like I have somebody that I can rely on and he can rely on me. And we feel secure with each other. I feel that women want somebody that they are secure with. As a woman, that's what I want. So like what you need to be able to do is move about the world with confidence in yourself, to know what you're capable of, to know what you can handle, what you're willing to handle. And that's what you bring to the table. And it's not like you said, the money comes, you can work a job that you love, you can be comfortable at best and still be you don't even have to be comfortable. You can be like you said, not a pot to piss in, but if you have all those other things that provide the same feeling, it does not matter. It will not matter.
And that's what's so crazy because again, if you're talking about young men or you're talking about men in midlife, because I see it all the time. I meet so many people and I meet so many guys, and I know, even looking online, it's like just because somebody has money, a 50-year-old guy, has a bunch of money, but he feels like it's so hard to meet somebody. It's so hard to feel to stand out, and oh, I'm not attractive enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. So just because you have money doesn't mean you're gonna. It doesn't fix your problems. It just
No.
doesn't, right? So it goes both ways, right? You just, I don't know, those expectations and the pressure and all that kind of stuff. Just be yourself, find that self-assurance, and do what you're inspired to do. Don't kill yourself to do something that you feel like you have to do something that you want to do that brings you, or at least feels like a stepping stone towards what you want to do, and then try to do it with joy and confidence, because that's going to radiate out so much, and it's going to give you, again, it's going to give you that it's going to give you the feeling of what money would give you, which is a confident, a level of confidence, because again, it's money is not the end all be all of confidence, right? It helps your confidence, but why not just go after confidence in the first place, and don't worry so much about these the pressure to be all of these things. Just be one thing. Be happy, be grounded, be self-assured, and let all the other things be yeah,
Yeah,
attributed
it
to
kind
that.
of feels like having money is to liposuction what like having a good diet and working out and taking care of your body like is to just coming at it with confidence, right? Like you could skip all of that and just get the fat sucked out, but you don't learn those things about yourself that are necessary to learn. And like it is a fantastic option for some people. That is not me dismissing liposuction at all. But if you don't need that, there's so much to learn along the way that you become stronger in the act of having a good diet, eating well, exercising. Like there are two different paths and you can choose which one to take, but one will give you just the end result and one will give you the end result and all the other stuff that comes with it. And that's
Mhm.
a choice that you get to make, right? And like there is a huge problem with the media representation of men, like we kind of talked about in the beginning, like in movies, the expendability of men, but also in advertisement, in, like there is a huge pressure on men to be fabulously wealthy and to be all these things and like all for the attraction of women. I don't know the last time I saw something about men being happy and just being able
Mhm.
to enjoy their lives. Like, why do we care so little about if men are actually happy?
I don't know. Well, again, it's like I think it just is passed down from you know all of human history, where it's like it doesn't really matter if you're happy. It matters if you can protect your family and you can go and be emotionless enough to go fight in this war where you're probably going to get killed or at the very least hacked up, maybe tortured to death. Like it's like don't be too emotional. If you're going to do that, you don't want to be too emotional. But again, now is like it's like there's no okay, I'm going to share a little bit of story here. Like, I mean, again, I've talked about this before in other podcasts. I mean, about like being tough and being, physical and being all those representations of masculinity, which is really what, again, when you're overworking in this crazy job just so that you can have a bunch of money, it's all that toxic masculinity. It's another extension of toxic masculinity. But when I really found myself like super self-accepting, accepting of myself and at peace with who I am as a person, it's like so much of that pressure just washed away, right? It washed away because why? I don't have to do all that stuff. I can just be me now and I can work what the way, work a job that I want to, that I'm inspired to work at or do or pursue interests that I'm inspired to do because I'm not relying on other people's expectations, including societal expectations.
Yeah.
It's just so that's the struggle that so many people are in right now, or so many men, I think, or is they just not slowing down enough to just step back and say, what do I really care what somebody else thinks? If I can kind of find that sense of peace within myself and self-acceptance, then what does it matter? Like it's kind of like that book. I never read it, but I know it was super popular, The Power of Not Giving a Fuck.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I don't know that I've heard of it, but I also
yeah,
didn't read
yeah,
it.
yeah. It was a very popular book, and I actually
Hmm.
heard listened to a part of a podcast from the guy that wrote it, and he is a very very interesting, down to earth guy. But I mean, he was going through a lot of those same issues that guys go through, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
it's trouble meeting girls and trouble meeting the standards and but on the flip side, he had money, right? He came from money, right? But he wasn't happy. He wasn't living the life. So he just had to kind of like, I don't give a fuck. And that's what kind of changed his life. But that's the power of self-assurance is you kind of have that same mindset where it's like, not that you don't give a fuck, but that you're just not worried about people's expectations. And I think that's so as for men in society today, um, really trying hard to get to develop that mindset, that sense of just ease with yourself will go so far towards reducing stress and anxiety and and making you more attractive to other people because you're calm, you have confidence, and on and on and on. All those things that we talk about in the and the whole everyday guy journal is built around that, building that confidence and that self-assurance. The modules, the like all the work I do with people, whether it's in the gym or whether it's one-on-one with with young men or boys or whatever, it's all about trying to get them to, you know, however I need to, or whatever is the easiest path of meeting them wherever they are, with their belief systems and their habits or whatever, get them to ground into just letting go of those expectations, just be okay with being themselves and letting that grow out into the feelings of success in the world, whatever that is, right? Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Um, yes. Can you distill that point into one sentiment?
All of my work is about getting people to just be okay with themselves so that they could be true to themselves and just be cool in the world and experience everything that they want.
Yeah. Yeah, that absolutely does make sense. It's what we've done for years here now. What we will continue to do for years, what we're devoted to really amping up like in the new year and moving into 2025. I think you and I are both really excited about all of the new things that we're kind of offering, that we're moving into. We've got the Everyday Guy program, which we're pretty excited about. The journal is coming out soon. We've got some fun new merch. Like we're really pushing toward reaching as many guys that need to hear this as possible, because like again, if you scroll through YouTube or TikTok or whatever, or Reddit or wherever you get your content, you will see so many young men, so many not young men who are struggling, who are looking for something, who are holding out their hand and saying, I need something. I don't know what it is, but I need something. And they don't know that those answers are within themselves. And so they're falling into these different niches and categories and distraction. And um, but they still don't understand why they're not happy. They still don't understand why they're feeling all these negative things, why they're feeling negatively about themselves, why their relationships aren't working out, why they're not getting into relationships, why they're not happy in their jobs, or they don't have jobs, they can't find jobs. And there's all these things that, guys are asking for answers. They are not finding them because the only one who can truly answer those questions is them.
Mhm.
And, how do you find that on your own? Well, we can tell you. Like we have 80 some podcast episodes about how to answer those questions for yourself. What do you need to do to be happy? We have programs, we have coaching, we have like all these resources to help you understand the exact answer to that question for yourself. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and I just think that, again, we've talked about over 80 episodes of the podcast, right, where we kind of went through all this stuff. But I think that for just anybody, I don't care if you're a young man or a man in midlife, just just step back from it all for a second and give yourself some time to think and reflect and journal. I mean, you know, I know a lot of people find a hard time journaling. You said you find a hard time journaling, but just make sense of things, right? So that you can kind of clue into, like, well, what is it that makes me happy truly? What is it about me that makes me feel special? What is it that I carry with me all along? All those things that we talked about all throughout the podcast. Like, do the work, do the work to create this, because once you get that, those pressures to all that pressure is gonna just wash off you, right? I mean, you're going to be able to work your job, have fun there, go home, be a husband, be a father, have your hobbies, do all those things, balance it all, because you're not the competition is kind of over, right? You're doing what you do because you want to do it and because you're
Mhm.
inspired and because you're excited about it. So there's very little um pressure anymore. You can just enjoy your life and be at your best for everybody around you. But you're just gonna have to do the work.
Yeah.
There's no other way around it in my experience than to just commit to it, do the work, do whatever it takes to find that sense of self-assurance and faith, and then commit to it. Make a commitment. This is what matters, and everything else is icing on that cake, right?
So to kind of like tie this together, the first step, if somebody's listening to this and they're like, yes, like I'm ready to move forward, I want to move forward, I want to do this. If they were able to say, I'm willing to commit 10 minutes every day right now, like I'm committing this second to my happiness, what would you suggest that they spend those 10 minutes per day on?
Well, the very first thing I would say is just try to find a place where you're nice and comfortable and you don't have a lot of distraction, and just take a breath. Like, just breathe, right? Just relax and just say, you know what, the world's going to be okay without me for 10 minutes, and just get used to the fact that you can do that. Like, people don't make a big deal out of meditation, and I'm not saying to meditate. I'm saying to get used to the fact that you don't have to be on the treadmill all the time. The world's going to be fine if you step off the treadmill for a second and just take a breath. Because once you take a breath, even for a short amount of time, like, I don't know what if it's going to be a week or 2 weeks or whatever, but if you make a habit, and I tell people in the morning, do it in the morning, but regardless, if you just take 10 minutes every day, I'm just going to check out of the world for 10 minutes starting right now, and just be okay with, just, you know what, life is okay. Life is okay. The world doesn't need me for 10 minutes. You're going to start to feel some, like, what it feels like to be at ease with yourself, and then let that build, try to remember it, have that highlight reel where you're like, oh, I remember this morning how great I felt when I was just chilling out. Oh yeah, life isn't that hard. Well, now that I'm going into this meeting, I got to keep that in perspective, and remember, life's not that hard. I'm a good person. I have confidence. I have this great smile. I make people laugh. You know what? Life is good. You know what I mean? It just builds. It builds. But people gotta make a commitment. They just gotta make a commitment to chill out. And then, all the journaling and all that kind of stuff is a great tool that builds on that. But without a commitment to just taking that time for yourself, none of this other stuff matters, right? Like, you
Yeah.
got to make that commitment. You got to take a certain amount of time every day to just work on being at ease with yourself and self-assured. And then again, I think journaling is a huge tool, but let it come from you being giving yourself that time, right?
Yeah, it definitely sounds like those 10 minutes of just being with yourself lead into the habit of, okay, now I'd like to start journaling about those thoughts that I'm having, or, how do I feel in this time, or, whatever. And I think like one of the things that I find intimidating about journaling is I don't know how to start. Like I'll be like, dear diary. It's like I don't know how to start. So having like a guided journal that asks you questions, and questions that actually help you find answers, having somebody there on the other side that's prompting you to think about these things are going to help you move forward. Like that to me is helpful. That to me makes it a bit less of a daunting task than like, here's a blank page, good luck. So that's one of the things that I'm kind of excited about, is like, because you've been a journaler for years and years and years, and you've been somebody who asks questions of yourself for years and years and years. So that's one of the things that kind of excites me about the journal, is having these questions asked by somebody who has asked the same questions of himself. um these are the steps to finding answers within yourself, right?
Well, if we're talking about journaling and we're talking about the Everyday Guide journal, I mean, I basically it's a distillation of the again the years and like literally the years and years and journals upon journals before I really kind of condensed it into like for myself personally into the keys the key questions I had to ask myself
Yeah.
to finally find happiness, right? So instead of going through the whole process like I had to go through of like spending half my life trying to figure out like, well, what are the right questions to ask myself? The Everyday Guide journal is the starting place of questions to ask yourself to expedite the process where you can learn to be accepting of yourself, reduce that stress and anxiety, take a nice deep breath, create a few simple habits and rituals that kind of get you feeling inspired and motivated and feeling good every day. And then let it all build. You're going to want to continue with these things, these simple steps that are making you feel better. You're seeing the results. So you're going to want to continue. So then journaling and all the other things are not going to be an issue anymore because you're seeing the result. It's like if you go to the gym for 10 years and you see no results, it sucks to go to the gym. But if you go to the gym and right from day one, it's like, wow, I can already see things changing. You're going to want to go, right? And that's the way I kind of look at this is like commit to 10 minutes. If nothing else, commit to 10 minutes, just chill out, relax, and just kind of allow yourself to open up to just what it feels like, ground into it, and let it expand, right? Let it expand. And again, you don't have to figure out the question to ask. Like if you're seeking guidance, we have the ability to just kind of guide your questions in a way that are going to kind of expedite your happiness and your joy and all that stuff. But none of it matters if you don't commit. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, again, I think we're both super excited about it. The journal, by the time you're listening to this, the journal might be out. I'm hoping that it is. So the link to that, if you're curious, if you're interested, should be in the description of wherever you're watching this. If you're on YouTube, hello. If you're on Spotify, hello. Apple, anywhere else, hello. So yeah, I mean, we're hitting the ground running in 2025. We've got a lot of new offerings that we're working toward, a lot more episodes that we're working toward, and let's commit to 10 minutes a day together, and next week we'll talk about something else. So thank you all so much for joining us. Yeah, I think we're super excited about all the things that are happening in our world. We're super excited to be part of that commitment to yourself. So 10 minutes a day, just chilling, hanging out, stepping off the treadmill for a second, like you said. I thought that was a really good analogy. Um, and just taking some time to like disconnect. And I hate when people are like, well, if you want to be happy, just disconnect from media. I don't think that that is the answer. I think the answer is disconnecting from the world and just being with yourself for a minute, feeling comfortable being with yourself, and um just existing, being allowed to just exist as a creature on this planet for 10 minutes, and then moving into, you know, like you said, journaling as a way of tracking your progress, tracking how things are happening, figuring out answers to questions you have. um I'm
asking the
excited.
right questions.
Asking the right questions, yeah. And then you can ask your own questions, like if you don't know where to start, like I feel like I don't, having a guided journal helps you figure out the questions. Well, it helps you figure out the answers to those questions. But as you move forward, you might find that you have other questions. And now you know kind of how you want to ask them, what you want to ask. So, yeah, I'm excited about this project. I know that it's the culmination of many, many years of your journals. So I think it's a super handy tool. I hope that you guys also find it to be a handy tool. And again, I think it'll be out by the time you're listening to this. So links to that and everything else we have going on. If you're looking for support, you can always message us. You can DM us. We're here for you at any point in time. If you have questions that you want answered on the podcast, please do ship them our way. We're happy to talk about anything and everything, as you probably know. We've talked about Daisy Dukes. We've talked about cavemen,
Let's not go back to the Daisy Dukes now.
the Daisy Duke era. Yeah, I still want to post that picture, but I won't. Um, but yeah, I mean, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to just to recap just a little bit, you know, the pressure, the societal pressures to the challenge of being a man in today's changing, evolving world. It's like just the only way really to step back and experience ease from all that is to step back and experience ease. You like you
Yeah,
got to make the choice. You just gotta,
yeah, it
and
has to
just
be a conscious effort.
you got to make a conscious decision.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good recap. I know we sometimes go here and there, but that's a really good recap of this
That's us.
episode. It's true. That is us. Um, so with that said, let's stop rambling. Thank you all so much for joining us. As always, we really do appreciate it. We're happy to be back in 2025. We've got more episodes on the way, which we're super excited about. And we'll see you next time. Don't forget to follow us on our social media, check out our website, which has been updated. I've been hard at work, so please go enjoy my please go enjoy my efforts. I'm begging you. Please,
I'm
um,
begging
and yeah, happy new year. We're super excited to be here with you in 2025 and to work together to make some really big stuff happen in the world. I hope.
absolutely.
Cool beans.
And while we're still on, because you're so great at editing, maybe we could recap that without a 2025.
What?
Well, is it going to be lasting if we have this podcast? So we're talking 2025, or is that going to make it like timely? Like, is that going to make it?
Well,
Because we want.
I think I don't know.
Actually,
I
you know
don't
what? It is 2025. Let's just be honest.
yeah, like it's not like we have to be like whoever you are in the future, the most important whoever you may be, the ancestors of our ancestors. Like it doesn't have to be an eternal like like yeah, it's 2025.
I know. Here's me just imagine. Well, when we're on Mars, when people are listening to the
Yeah, what if
podcast,
somebody
they
on
could
the
be like,
space station is listening to us in 2047 and they don't know who we are? Who cares? Okay, listen, listener, if you're listening to this in 2047 and you're confused, you're like, what is 2025? It's not, it's 2047, and you're doing a great job up there on Mars. You're doing amazing. We support you.
we support you.
Yeah, we here in the past support you in the future.
We here in the past, like from over 20 years ago, we're 100% supportive.
Yeah,
Two thumbs
you
up.
have you have our approval. You're doing a good job. Keep on farming those Mars potatoes.
Oh my God.
Okay, so anyway, uh thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See
Bye.
ya. Also, I want to say too, just to give the other perspective, as far as living up to the pressures and of today and societal expectations or whatever, you can also just say screw it and just go back to caveman days, bonk somebody over the head, drag them to your cave, and eat some raw meat over a fire. You could just do that too, right?